Good morning. Welcome into 5 Clubs on Golf Channel. Also, you can listen on the PGA Tour Radio Network on Sirius XM. And this program is brought to you by Century Insurance, right by you. They do the right things when it comes to the way they invest in the game of golf, their relationship with the USGA, also with the First Tee, and of course they sponsor the first event on the PGA Tour schedule, the Century in Maui. Of course, Golf Pride. Every player at every level trusts Golf Pride more than any grip in the world. Pinehurst, which is the cradle of American golf. I was there over the weekend. What they're doing there is amazing. They are always looking to get better. And of course, Peter Millar, luxury, style, wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, they have what you need at Peter Millar. We got a lot to get to on this Tuesday. Excited to have Gabby Herzig join us again. And she's going to be joining us again and again and again. We were very proud to announce officially yesterday 3 new contributors to our family, Gabby being one of them. She is a fabulous young writer for The Athletic. She's been on this program a couple times already. She's going to be with us on a regular basis talking about what's going on in the industry of golf and primarily the professional game. Jaime Diaz was with us last week. He, of course, one of the great historians in the game. Proud to announce his inclusion of the 5 Clubs family. And, of course, Cole Hammer on the Korn Ferry Tour sharing his journey in the professional game. And Gabby will be with us today, as will Billy Horschel. Billy Horschel in the nightcap last night for TGL. I'm very glad that a Florida Gator could make his way into some form of a playoff. He'll be with us as well. Looking forward to that conversation because he was just bestowed a very significant honor. Looking forward to talking to him about that, but all the other things that he is willing to share his opinion on. So I mentioned TGL, and obviously the PGA Tour makes its way to Florida, and we're going to get to that more so tomorrow than today. And then you had the announcement yesterday, which I'll talk about a little bit more later on with respect to the European Solheim Cup team. That was all news. But also part of what we heard or saw yesterday was at, and I don't want to say lower levels, but at the younger levels in the game of golf. And that's where I want to begin with you on this Tuesday. I was listening to Brentley Romine and Steve Burkowski having a conversation with Rich Lerner yesterday on Golf Central about the spring season in college golf. And speaking of which, Emma Carpenter, who is part of our team, will be with me next week to talk about what's already transpired in the spring season as she has just graduated from the University of Minnesota as a college golfer. But they were talking about the best teams, the best players. And these best players are more equipped than we've ever seen. Not just 1 or 2, but a dozen of these players, whether it be men or women, to make their way into the professional game. And it's not accidental, because it's not just the opportunities being presented to them in college golf, because, and I'm not saying this because I'm sitting here on the network of record when it comes to the game of golf, but also the network that has devoted resources and money to put college golf on television, and that is Golf Channel. And that is part of it. That's part of why these young people are more equipped, more capable, and more game ready to become professional golfers and succeed right away. Luke Clanton is the latest on the men's side, and he is a point away from securing full-term exempt status on the PGA Tour through PGA Tour U, which was a great creation with college golf and the PGA Tour. And you can say, well, that's the reason this is happening is because they're on television more, they're more ready, they do media. That's true. But dive a little bit deeper, and what you're seeing at the developmental level are the reasons why these things are starting to happen on a more regular basis. And let me say, look, I think it's great that we have a foundation for young players in the game to make their way in the game to try to get to the rarest of air, which is professional golf. But it has to be more than that. And we're seeing efforts being made that is more than just, can you be great? Can you be great at other things in life? And that's why the USGA's National Development Program was so essential to get off the ground, which it has. And it's unfathomable to me that this country, rich in resources, money, and an affinity for the game of golf, has neglected the developmental level in terms of private funding for decades. It's unimaginable that other countries have golf federations that are, 1/5 the size, 1/10 the size, 1/20th the size of the United States, but yet they are funding developmental programs. Not so anymore. We have that now with the United States National Development Program. And yes, that's primarily focused on the elite junior, as is the AJGA, which has been a great platform for junior golfers for decades as well, to condition them on good golf courses for what is next, which for most of them is college golf. And then you have youth on course, and of course the first tee as well, which is much more about grassroots, giving kids that olive branch, that entry point to say, look, take it easy. I know everyone's told you this game is really, really hard, but it doesn't necessarily have to be hard. It also can be fun, and it can be an aspect of your life that can benefit you way beyond how good you can play. Because, and I'm going to go old man on you here, back in my day, kids on course were a necessary evil because they were the sons and daughters of members. So you said, oh gosh, they got to be out here. Just let them play like it was at the club that I was lucky enough to grow up at, Ridgewood Country Club, when Glenn, the caddy master, after 4 p.m. would point to us on the practice putting green and say, there, or there, or there, meaning east, center, or west. That's where you can play now because the coast is clear. Kids are being empowered now to make an impact on the game and drive, chip, and putt. And that initiative, started primarily by Augusta National Golf Club, has given kids the most important thing, which is access. Because I've said it for decades, access is inspirational no matter what it is that you do. If you want to be a performer at the highest level in the arts, can you imagine getting the chance to be on the stage at Lincoln Center or Radio City Music Hall? My gosh. Or if you aspire to be in medicine and having the chance to go to the Mayo Clinic or Cedars-Sinai and see those professionals and be inspired by what they do. Well, we're starting to see that now, and I'm going to get personal with you because this show is personal. We hope it's personal to you. We've been lucky enough, not just at 5 Clubs, but the parent company of 5 Clubs, Signature Sports Group, to be a part of the Underrated Golf Tours since the beginning. As a contributor to a team that is made up of SC30, which is Steph Curry's great team, and other people who are dedicated to giving junior golfers a platform, not just to be good at golf and go on and play college golf, but to develop them as people. And yesterday, while all this other news in the industry of golf was being announced, so was the European circuit of underrated golf. That's right. Last year, for the first time, Underrated, funded by great sponsorships, starting by KPMG, United Airlines, and Southern Company, and CDW, because these kids, when they go to places like London, which was announced yesterday, and St. Andrews, which was announced yesterday, they will incur no cost. None of it. And that has been true since Underrated began. This will be season number 4. And the domestic schedule is going to be announced in a couple of weeks. 4 regional stops, kids all trying to make their way to the Curry Cup. That destination will be announced on March 10th. And again, parents and kids traveling this great country, playing great golf courses and incurring no cost. Can you imagine being stripped of the burden of all the things that come with how costly this game can be, for the kids to get lost in the pursuit of how good they can be? And along the way, a mentor program in conjunction with the Ohupi Match Club and the First Tee to expose kids to people who have gotten to the highest level in athletics and entertainment and business. Those things are happening through Underrated Golf. And also the panel series, bringing real professionals to not just sit and watch kids play junior golf, but to speak to them about aspects of their life to refine and develop, to get better as people. And all along the way, the most important thing is just make golf a part of your life. Those things are happening at the junior golf level. So if Luke Clanton does get that precious point this week at the Cognizant Classic, yes, Trey Jones and what he has built at Florida State is a primary reason, but so are the developmental levels that have never been better in this country for golfers. And it's not just about getting their buck through watching them sit down and watch YouTube or TGL. It's about investing back in them, which is an investment back in the next generation of golfers. It's all good news. All right, we're going to take our first break. Gabby Herzig, yeah, that's more good news. We just got better. because you're going to hear her voice and her view on the game on a regular basis on this program. The great young writer from The Athletic joins me next on a Tuesday on 5 Clubs. Welcome back in on this Tuesday. It is 5 Clubs on Golf Channel. You can also listen to us on the PGA Tour Radio Network on SiriusXM. This segment brought to you by Golf Pride. Again, every player at every level trusts Golf Pride more than any grip, and their new Align Max, the best grips that I've had on my clubs in my lifetime. All right, joining me now. She can play. She played college golf. She now covers the game of golf and does it expertly for The Athletic, and we're very proud that she is going to be contributing with us on a regular basis. I'm speaking of Gabby Herzig. She's everywhere. Good morning. How are you?
Morning, Gary. Thank you for having me, as always. I'm really excited to be regularly joining you.
Thanks. We are thrilled. And like I said, we just got better with the likes of you sharing your thoughts as we make our way through 2025. You know, Gabby, I go back to last fall as we start this conversation with the reporting you did and digging in on the challenges that existed for the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, the PGA Tour, as it relates to antitrust and the Justice Department. And that was an education for a lot of people. And now here we sit on the doorstep of the month of March, feeling like something really is impending, that we are on top of significant news. But I want to know, based on what you're hearing from the membership of the PGA Tour, how much do they actually know?
I think that, players don't know a whole lot right now. Obviously, the Player Advisory Council is updated as developments come. We know that the first meeting in the White House, the Player Advisory Council was notified the morning of that it was happening. But in general, I think players and fans and constituents of the game are really waiting around to see what these next steps will consist of. There's been progress made in the White House in collaboration with President Trump. Last week's meeting was striking, honestly, to me, seeing Jay Monahan, Tiger Woods, Adam Scott, and Yasir Al-Rumayyan meet in person in the White House. That's a significant step right there. But I think that there was some optimism going in that this thing could be completed in that one meeting, and they ended up spending 4 hours together and not coming to that deal in principle that some anticipated out of the meeting. So I think in general, players right now are waiting, just like we are. The player leadership obviously is involved in this. You have Tiger and Adam right there at the table with the leaders of this entire thing. And it's actually very significant that they are part of this in that way. So I think in general, like the rest of us, the players are waiting to hear what could happen. And there's been some indication of optimism and progress in recent days with the Trump administration in place and being able to help in that way. But it's still a huge waiting game.
Yeah, you're right. The optics are encouraging. And you mentioned with respect to the live side of things, it's the man who's truly in charge who is there. And I get that the players who play on live are on the other side of the world, so there's not a convenience to get one of them there, whether it be even for a photo op or for substantive conversations. But what is it that you make of their side of things? Because it's about primarily what I'm hearing, and I think you're hearing the same thing, is when are live players going to play on the PGA Tour? Do live players want to play on the PGA Tour? And how about the other side of PGA Tour players dipping their toe in the waters of live? Where is the live player representation in all of this?
It's a great question. I mean, the main thing that I believe that live players have been hearing over the past year or so is that the live model is going to continue. They just signed a TV deal with Fox. They renewed the Live Adelaide contract to 2031. There's definitely a push for the future movement of live. There are clothing deals signed with some of the live teams. But I do think that there is a want and a need for live players to come back to the PGA Tour. I'm not sure what capacity that is in right now. And I think the other biggest question question is whether Live Golf survives this new kind of reunification talk. One of the most striking things to me is that all of a sudden you're hearing Jay Monahan and Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods speak of the creation of one tour. And I don't think that language has been used for a very long time, which to me indicates that there is some significant planning to maybe restructure the entire realm of professional golf to fit everyone's interest here. And that includes Live Golf, that includes the PGA Tour, and that includes what fans want to see, which I believe is really just all the players back together on the same stages.
I think what will be interesting is this new additive or offshoot of the PGA Tour, which is TGL. And I know you and your colleagues are going to devote some time to really examining what we've seen so far, what you all would recommend in terms of what might change, what could change, what should change. I'm looking forward to that in The Athletic. How about Live golfers as a kind of a Live United in TGL? Will that be one of the things? And I'm not joking. Like, I think that that's the type of wrinkle that you could add going into 2026. So give me your thoughts on what you saw last night, what you've thought overall of TGL, and kind of what this examination through this roundtable discussion is going to be.
Yeah, I think people have definitely thrown around the idea of a Live team joining TGL or joining for a match. I think it would be really exciting to see, and definitely amping up the rivalry aspect of all of this. Something that I really want to see is LPGA players included in TGL. You saw Rose Zhang actually became a minority investor in the Bay Golf Club. Megan King was there the other day. Jessica Korda was there last night. So I think the ball is really getting rolling for LPGA players to potentially be a part of TGL. But in general, I've enjoyed to see the progress of the product over the past month or so and see what changes they've made. The hammer rules really turned out to be a huge game changer in terms of making those matches tight. I think players have been a little bit more loose on stage recently. You're seeing animated celebrations and a little bit more trash talking last night between Justin Thomas and Keegan Bradley. So I've enjoyed the progress of it, but I do think there are some big tweaks that they're going to have to make for next year's season in order to really make it sustainable for fans.
You did a very lengthy question and answer with Rose Zhang in The Athletic. I recommend everybody read it. It is thorough. I mean, you guys get into a lot of stuff. I don't think a lot of people understand the kind of course load and balance she is trying to have in her life as still being a student and a professional athlete simultaneously. But one of the questions you asked her was, is the LPGA doing enough for their stars? And you never know with tone, but when somebody says no, that to me is an emphatic answer. Yes, she didn't just say no and then ask you to ask the next question. Can you explain what she meant in terms of what it is that she thinks they are doing and what more they can do to help the best players, the biggest profiles on their platform, which is the LPGA?
I know. I was actually very surprised to hear that honest answer from Rose. She doesn't shy away from tough questions. She's a really mature 21-year-old, and I think she was just honest about how the LPGA hasn't necessarily capitalized on some of the momentum behind women's sports. Obviously we saw Nelly Korda go on the tear that she went on last summer with those 7 wins, but she didn't necessarily get the traction and the attention that, a Caitlin Clark got. Obviously she's a global superstar, and basketball has a totally different audience, but Nelly's feat was, just as huge as some of these other female athletes that are getting attention all over the world. And Rose Zhang equally so, coming out as one of the best amateurs in the history of the game. And I think that Rose was just honest about some of the initiatives that the LPGA has had in place haven't necessarily hit yet. They haven't made the impact that I think a lot of players desire. And a lot of players are willing to do those things and put themselves out there and showcase their personalities and their personal stories. And Rose is definitely one of the most willing to do that. She is a great interview and is always grateful with, very generous with her time. And I think that it seems like there are some things happening behind the scenes. Rose hinted at some new maybe practices or initiatives the LPGA is working on to make those things happen. But in general, there is definitely a lack of kind of enthusiasm around what the LPGA has done across the board from players that I've spoken to within the past year.
Last thing for now, you were a college golfer. You have a brother who's a very good college golfer at Colgate. The Luke Clanton story, I don't know if they thought, this relationship with college golf and the PGA Tour was going to present something like this. But you were at the WM Phoenix Open. Friday afternoon was electric. It's electric no matter who is going through these final holes, but everybody knew what was on the line for him. It's on the line again this week. What is your view of this as somebody who went through a college golf system to see something like this present itself as a college golfer on a professional stage?
I think it's incredible. I mean, the new pathways that have opened up for college players in recent years with the PGA Tour U program and now PGA Tour Accelerated have brought this new energy to some of these events, the kind of in-between PGA Tour events, regular field events. And we saw it with Luke Clanton at the Waste Management. He absolutely lit it up that Friday afternoon. For one, I actually watched it on TV. I was on my way home to New York, and I was absolutely glued to my phone. I was sitting on the plane watching him make birdie after birdie and just have that look in his eye, really chasing a PGA Tour card down. There's so much on the line for him right now. And I think a player like Luke, we're not only seeing a generational talent, over the summer with those 3 top 10s, he became the first amateur to place in the top 10 3 times in a PGA Tour season since Jack Nicklaus in 1961. That is just an insane stat to have on your resume. We're also seeing just an entertaining player enter the game. Watching him chase down those birdies on the back 9 in Phoenix was, just as you said, it was electric. And, he kind of reminds me of a Jordan Spieth, I would say, just the same kind of energy to grind it out no matter what. So I, for one, am very appreciative of the new pathways that the PGA Tour have opened up for college players, because I really do think it adds a new layer to the game.
Yeah, I said he reeks of belief. He's got a strut. He's got a gait about him that I think is captivating. And again, they've got that storyline as part of the Cognizant this week with a college golfer. I will see you at the Players. We're all excited that you're going to be able to be a part of this team and sharing your thoughts in addition to all the great work you're doing on an everyday basis at The Athletic. Looking forward to the roundtable you got coming forward, hopefully tomorrow for your readers. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in about 10 days.
Thank you so much, Gary. Appreciate it.
Okay, there is Gabby Herzig, again, contributor here at 5 Clubs and a great young writer at The Athletic. Billy Horschel to come. Coming up next, my thoughts on the direction of these teams, international teams, and why everything is getting younger. We're back right after this. It is the bottom of the hour here on 5 Clubs on Golf Channel, and also on the PGA Tour Radio Network on Sirius XM. And this segment is brought to you by Peter Millar. Iconic style, modern function, everything you need, no matter what you're doing. You could be going to a board meeting and then from there going to a soccer game of your 12-year-old. It doesn't matter. Going to the gym, going to the golf course, they have you covered with all of their great lines at Peter Millar. The news yesterday from the Solheim Cup, from the European side, that Anna Nordquist is going to captain the team in 2026 in the Netherlands is, I think, great news. If you don't know her that well, she's a fabulous player, a 3-time major winner. She's been one of the best players of her generation. She's been on the Solheim Cup team representing Europe 9 times, and now her 10th appearance at the Solheim Cup will be as the captain. And the thing that's noticeable about this is, one, is that Sweden is represented again, but 2, it is her age. Everything in the game of golf is getting younger. Players are more capable of winning at younger ages. We saw a 20-year-old in a playoff on Sunday. And we're going to see a college kid maybe gain entry to the PGA Tour through PGA Tour this week at the Cognizant Classic. And I gave you some reasons earlier, but it's also at levels where Anna Nordquist at 37 is going to captain a team, and she will be among the youngest captains historically since the Solheim Cup was created in 1990. And again, I don't think that's accidental. If you look at a couple of things, Prime is younger now than it used to be. And also there is this determination on the part of these governing bodies and organizations that run these team competitions to feel like you've got some real connective thread and tissue with the captain to the team. Because if you look back in time, and if you look at some of the captains, whether it be the European Ryder Cup team, Solheim Cup teams, and of course here in the United States, Solheim Cup and Ryder Cup, it was almost like a career bow. It was almost like you've done all you're going to do competitively in the game. You haven't been competitive for years, so it's time for you to get this career appointment. Now, in large measure, that can still be true. But this is also something that if you look at these teams and the construct of these teams, look at how much younger the teams are. 20 years ago, you'd have to find, I don't know, the one player in his 20s or two that was representing these teams, especially on the men's side. Now, you got to find the one guy who's rolled the odometer past the age of 30. Which was the case with the United States at Whistling Straits when Dustin Johnson looked like a grandfather compared to everybody else on that team. The game is getting younger at every levels, including appointments that used to be for people that were like, oh, isn't that nice? She's getting that. We haven't seen her in decades. No, actually, she still plays on a regular basis on the LPGA, and she's the captain. Similarly to Keegan Bradley. Speaking of teams, he'd like to be on that team. That is Billy Horschel. He's on a team last night that earned a playoff berth. I can't believe I just said that, and I'm covering golf. We will talk to him coming up next right here on 5 Clubs. We are back in on this Tuesday on 5 Clubs, in this segment brought to you by Century Insurance, right by you. The guy who's joining me now has done a lot of things right. We'll get to something that he is going to be the recipient of Masters Week coming up in just a couple of minutes. But fresh off earning a playoff berth last night, my God, this is golf, and I just said that out loud. He is Billy Horschel. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Gary. How about you, buddy?
Thank you for doing this. I know a little bit of a late night for you guys last night. Let me ask you, I'm not surprised that you would respond to this environment the way that you have. You love sports, you love the arena, you love going to Gator games. But there have been other guys like Wyndham Clark. I didn't see it. He's been entertaining in the arena. I think Ludwig has been stealthy, like sleek and entertaining. Explain to people what the environment is like, because they're consuming it overwhelmingly as viewers. What is it like being in that building?
I think we all are just amazed that we're playing golf in an arena. I mean, I think every one of us has grown up watching sport, watching NFL games, NBA, NHL, MLB, and you see these guys play in an arena, you play in a stadium, and obviously we've sat in the stadium, but to be down there on the field competing is a completely different feeling. So whenever I've walked into the stadium, as I said from the very beginning, when I walked in November, I think the first time, I feel like, Atlanta Falcons player walking into Mercedes-Benz Stadium every game, ready to compete and try and win for my team. And you've got 60, 70,000 people in Mercedes-Benz Stadium going crazy. So, I mean, it's that feeling. Obviously, we don't have 60, 70,000, 80,000 fans in SoFi Arena or SoFi Center, but we have 1,500. We have the music. We have the video boards. We have everything you would see in an arena. And it sort of just gives you goosebumps. I mean, golf's always been played outdoors, and here we are playing inside in front of fans with music and, like I said, video boards and hitting to a screen, like something completely new and exciting. And for me to be, doing this in my 16th year as a professional golfer, sort of gives me a little, not that I ever needed a little fire, but sort of a little spark, to enjoy this golf even more.
Your owner, Arthur Blank, spoke last night. He was interviewed. He talked about some possible additions to TGL. Look, you know his background. This man is a visionary from Home Depot to PGA Tour Superstore. He's the owner, as you mentioned, of the Falcons. His involvement in golf and what he does through the First Tee, this is a magnet. What has it been like sharing time with him?
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be friends with AB for 10 plus years. He's such a great guy. I think everyone thinks of him as Home Depot and started a PGA Tour Superstore and the success he had there. But he has a giving background. I mean, philanthropically, I mean, he has done so much and given so much money to so many different causes around the Atlanta area, around the country. And I love spending time around him. I'm very fortunate enough to call him a great friend. And I knew when he was going to be a part of this TGL league, I knew there was a pretty good chance I was probably going to be on AB's team going forward. So, yeah, I mean, obviously because of how close my friendship is, I want to win so much more for him and win a trophy for him. So it's nice that we made the playoffs and we have that opportunity over the next couple of weeks.
You're very plugged in. You have been from the beginning as it relates to the tour and what might or will happen as it relates to the PIF and LIV meetings and releases. We've seen that. We've seen several of both over the last couple of weeks. There was something last night with your membership. Is a deal imminent?
Yeah, I think a deal's imminent. I said this at 22 Scottish Open, I think it was, when I first addressed this whole LIV situation in PIF. I thought, at that time I said about 5 years down the road, I could see us coming together and figuring out how to make things work. Obviously, it's happened a little bit sooner. It was 18 months ago that we agreed to figure something out. And here we are almost, 2 years later now, that we're still trying to figure this out. I do believe a deal is intimate. I mean, I do believe, playing with Yazir at Dunhill and understanding his views of golf and seeing how much passion he has for the game of golf. He just wants to be in the game of golf. He wants to, I guess you've heard it so many times said, he wants a seat at the table. And so I think there's some way to make this work. Obviously, as fans, and I'm a player and I'm in it, but I'm also a golf fan. I can see how fans are sort of disenchanted and tired of hearing about, well, there's a deal coming. Listen, there's a lot of little things they've got to figure out. And it's not just, a click of the fingers that we can make this easy. So I believe it's going to come. Hopefully it's over the next month or two. Hopefully it's sooner that we can announce something. Like I said, I don't know everything that's going on, but I know we're close and we're just hopefully we can get something done and we can sort of bring the game of golf back together, because I could never imagine, as I said in 22, talking at Scottish Open, that we would have disenchanted our fans so much that, they'd be a little bit turned off for golf as they were last year.
Billy, player representation, and I don't think it's just a photo op of Tiger last week at the White House or Adam Scott. I think player representation and your voice is being heard more than it ever has. Do you think the membership is well informed with everything that's going on?
I think we've done a really great job of having our voice heard more than ever before, as you said. Is the player are the players on tour more informed? I think we're informed enough, but like I said, when it gets to the little nitty-gritty details, you're not going to inform these guys everything, because you don't want things getting leaked out. You don't want things getting told to other people and rumors get started and everything. So you've got to sort of keep it close to the chest. It's no different than two businesses merging. There's only going to be a handful of people or a few handful of people that understand the details and know what's going on. And that's the way this is sort of, you got to look at it. The player directors, the independent directors, a few people, executives at the PGA Tour understand every little detail, as is on the PIF and the Saudi side. And so, I think we're informed enough, but I guess if you do have questions, as I've always said, you can go to the PGA Tour, you can go to the executives and ask questions, and you may not get a great answer, but they're going to try to at least give you a little bit better picture than what you would have if you didn't ask questions.
The televised product has gotten a lot of discussion, attention, letters penned by some of your peers as it relates to responsibilities you all have to enhance the product. What is your view of the televised product of golf?
Listen, it's tough. Golf's over, such a long window. It's not a 2 or 3 hour time window. And so there's a lot of things that can be done. Listen, I think, could we show more golf shots? Yes, and I think we're trying to do that. I believe the players themselves, as Justin talked about in his letter, can be more open to having conversations with, announcers and golf analysts as they're walking the golf course, whether it's before, during, or after a round. I've been fortunate enough to play on DP World Tour now for 5 or 6 years, and from the very beginning in 2019, when they asked me if I wanted to do on-course interviews, I said yes, because I understand the value of that. I understand giving insight to the golf fan. That's what they want. It's no different than me wanting to know the insight of what a coach is thinking, doing, after the first quarter of a football game, what changes they may make or what he's seeing. Like, that's such great insight that fans just sort of crave. And so I think we can do a better job as players. But, one thing I've said for a while, that I may be in the minority here, is I miss a guy like Johnny Miller. Johnny Miller was so great. And I know he, not everyone loved him, but he said things that were sort of controversial. He said, hey, that guy's choking right there. That guy hit an awful golf shot. And I think sometimes when I watch golf coverage, I think our analysts and our commentators have been too nice when a guy hits a wedge shot to 40 feet. He said, well, he was playing safe because of this. And now I'm like, it's a wedge shot. You should hit that to 20 feet at worst. I don't care if there's water or anything around. If there's not much wind, that's what you should do. So I miss a guy like Johnny who can be a little controversial and say something that you may be thinking, but he's not afraid to say it, to sort of show like, hey, he expects a higher level of us out on the golf course. And I think the golf fans miss some of that sometimes.
The Charlie Bartlett Award, for people who are not aware, it was announced that you'll be the recipient of that. I know how much it means to you. Look, it was in this studio that I spoke publicly with you for the first time about my own recovery, my alcoholism. I've told your wife, she's been on this program, that she's an inspiration. The sense of responsibility that you have to give back, that's the reason you're going to receive this award. Why have you done all that you've done, the APGA, all the other things that you're doing? Why do you have that sense of responsibility to reciprocate in life?
Yeah, when Rex told me last Friday or 2 Fridays ago, I was receiving this award, obviously I just come off missing a cut by a shot and I wasn't in a great mood. And so he told me, and so I was very appreciative, but I think it took me a few days to sort of sink in. I told my wife that we won this award. And I think after a few days thinking about it and sort of, digesting and understanding, what this award means, it's pretty special. I mean, I'm sort of speechless a little bit in the sense of, I do this because I want to make this world a better place. I want to give people opportunities that they never had. I want to give people a life to live, a better life to live. And, it doesn't take a lot to give back. And I think growing up where I grew up, very lower middle class, we weren't financially, well off by any means. My parents just, showed me the value of helping others, in a time of need, whether it be a neighbor, family, friend, anything after a hurricane, of going through a hard time, whatever it may be. My parents were very good at helping people out, and they showed that to me. And Brittany and I have sort of carried that on, the values that my parents instilled in me. And, we care a lot about a lot of people, and we want to, we can change one person's life and make it, help them live a better life. Like, that means a lot to us, and we're doing everything we can to sort of make a difference in the world, but also show our kids, the right way to go about to live in this world, how to treat people, how to, be respectful and sort of understand that we've been blessed with a great opportunity with the successes I've had in golf to do more in this world than maybe some of the other people who haven't had the success in life.
Very well said. I can't think of a better place to get your mind in a special place that it always is, to be at Augusta National Masters Week. Appreciate you doing this as always. Congratulations on the award. It's so well earned, and I know you're going to receive it with great humility. Best to your whole crew. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Gary. Always great being on.
Thanks, Billy Horschel. We take a quick break. We continue here with something that has always been a talking point when it comes to professional golf. I'll explain my position on that coming up next right here on 5 Clubs. Back in on 5 Clubs on Golf Channel. You can also listen to us every day we're on the PGA Tour Radio Network on Sirius XM. And this segment is brought to you by Pinehurst, the cradle of American golf. I was there this past weekend. It is soulful to be there. It fills you up, and it was great to see what is coming. Pinehurst number 10, which was voted the best new public golf course in America in 2024, their clubhouse. Walk through it and the new restaurant, which are going to be open in June and August, respectively. And then I went over to Pinehurst number 8, where the new cottages are being built. Those are available in the month of May. You're going to have a whole enclave of cottages that are going to have a putting green with lights around it. What a great place to go with your friends, with couples, and to hunker down and enjoy all that Pinehurst has, which is a ton. All right. Next week is the Arnold Palmer Invitational, another signature series event, and with it comes a very condensed, small field. They do have a modest cut like Jack's event has and Tiger's event has. But it is precious real estate to get into these fields and these signature series, knowing where the workforce is going at the end of this year with only 100 cards being fully exempt in 2026. So I understand the conversation around who should be getting sponsor exemptions. And we'll find out. And I'm guessing that Ricky Fowler and Jordan Spieth are going to get them. And some people are going to say, yeah, I get the Ricky thing. You know, his relationship, he's been really, really good to the Arnold Palmer Invitational through the years. Jordan hasn't played as much. He has always been very, very loyal to the Texas events. Whoever it is, just let's take names and faces and profiles out of it. My position on sponsor exemptions has been unchanged. I don't tell businesses that invest millions of dollars into tour events how to strategize their investment. Now, would it be ideal if they matched meritocracy with kind of profile and appeal? Sure, that's the best of both worlds, where it makes sense because they kind of have proven themselves, whether it be in present form, and then also they're kind of a catch so you can get them. Of course, that's the ideal world. Meritocracy in professional golf is kind of an illusion now. Again, do with it what you want. And at $20 million per ticket for these companies to have a signature series event, I'm not going to tell them who they should be inviting to their parties. We come back, some final thoughts, get you set up for a Wednesday edition of Five Clubs right after this. All right, a couple minutes left for us here on Five Clubs. Matt Adams, Fairways of Life, coming up next right here on Golf Channel at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow, dogs, come on. We always end the week with the greatest creatures on earth, so we will have dogs of the week, our picks as well. Just so you know how tight we are here at Five Clubs. Everybody, not because we dislike Aldrich Pitegater, we were rooting against Johnson Wagner being the first to get a correct pick this year. Our picks tomorrow as well for the Cognizant Classic at PGA National. Looking forward to those as we get through the first 2 months and the entire West Coast swing without anybody picking a winner. Also tomorrow, Justin Ray. Justin Ray, I've always believed, was one of the most important hires in Golf Channel history. He's now gone on and contributes everywhere when it comes to him having more information, more research, more historical nuggets and data than anybody. He is a machine. He's going to join me tomorrow, and I'm going to ask him a lot of stuff as it relates to historical stuff, the Florida swing, and where we sit with a couple players specifically. Also, Thomas Dietrich is going to be on the program. And I'm going to ask Thomas Dietrich if he knows who Cole Trickle is, because I referenced that character from the great movie, shunned by the Academy, Days of Thunder. Cole Trickle played by Tom Cruise, because Thomas Dietrich blew through his own barrier and won on the PGA Tour for the first time. And I've heard some of the things that he shared about mentally, some of the challenges that he has experienced going all the way back to his college years at the University of Illinois. I'm very much looking forward to that conversation with him as it pertains to winning and goal setting and what might be on the horizon for him. I am off to head over to Quail Hollow because the PGA Championship is here in May. Going to meet with Derek Sprague, who is the new CEO of the PGA of America. For all of us here on Five Clubs, have a great Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow morning.